It was April 1945. The Third Army was no longer just fighting a war. They were sprinting through a collapsing empire. But as General George S. Patton's tanks rolled into the heart of Germany, they uncovered a horror that even the old blood and guts himself wasn't prepared for. Behind the front lines, in a captured civilian hospital near Gotha, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of antiseptic and decay. Dozens of American paratroopers, wounded during the final push, lay on cold stone floors. Among them stood a man who represented everything Patton loathed about the Prussian military machine. His name was Dr. Hans Müller, a high-ranking surgeon, a member of the social elite, and a man who wore his Iron Cross with more pride than his medical oath. When the American medics ordered him to begin operating on the wounded GIs, Müller didn't reach for his tools. Instead, he stood with his back to the ward, staring out a window at the ruins of his country. He told the American sergeant, "I am an officer of the Reich. My hands are for my own people. I will not soil my reputation by treating the men who destroyed my city." When that message reached Patton's headquarters, the air in the room supposedly turned cold. Patton didn't call for a court-martial. He didn't send a letter. He climbed into his open-top Jeep and roared toward the hospital at 60 miles per hour. Patton arrived like a thunderstorm. As he stepped out of the Jeep, his polished boots clicking against the pavement, the soldiers nearby fell silent. They knew that look. It was the look of a man who was about to deliver a lesson in reality. Patton entered the ward and found the doctor sitting in a private office, sipping tea as if the war was 1,000 miles away. The juxtaposition was sickening. American boys were losing limbs in the next room while this man of medicine complained about his rank. Patton didn't scream. That was the most terrifying part. He walked up to the doctor's desk, leaned over, and looked him directly in the eyes. "I am told," Patton began, his voice a low, raspy growl, "that you believe your rank makes you too important to save the lives of my soldiers. You say you are a man of dignity. You say you are an officer." The doctor stood up, attempting to match Patton's height. He replied that under the Geneva Convention, he deserved the treatment of a gentleman. He argued that he was a non-combatant and could not be forced into labor for the enemy. Patton's lip curled. He knew the rules better than the doctor did, and he knew how to use them as a weapon. "You want to talk about conventions?" Patton asked. "Let's talk about the Convention of Survival." Patton turned to his military police. He didn't tell them to arrest the doctor. He told them to bring a chair. He forced the doctor to sit in the middle of the ward. Surrounded by the men he refused to help. "You will sit here," Patton commanded, "and you will watch. Every time a heart stops in this room, I am going to move your name to a very specific list. It's a list of men I'm handing over to the Soviet authorities for crimes against humanity." The doctor's face went pale. In 1945, the Russian front was a synonym for the end of the world, but Patton wasn't finished. He informed the doctor that since he was so concerned with officer treatment, he would be treated like the highest-ranking officer in the room. This meant he was personally responsible for the survival of every patient. If the mortality rate in that ward didn't drop to 0 by morning, Patton promised he would personally drive the doctor to the Soviet lines and leave him there with nothing but a white flag. This was the Patton touch. He found the one thing the doctor valued more than his pride, his life. The master race ideology crumbled the second it met a force more ruthless than itself. For the next 24 hours, the hospital witnessed a miracle of spite-driven medicine. Dr. Müller performed 18 consecutive surgeries. He didn't ask for a break. He didn't ask for tea. He worked with the frantic energy of a man who could hear the Russian artillery in his dreams. Patton stayed for the first few hours, leaning against the doorframe, cleaning his fingernails with a pocket knife. He didn't say another word. He didn't have to. By dawn, every American soldier in that ward was stabilized. The doctor collapsed from exhaustion in the hallway. When he woke up, Patton was gone, leaving behind only a short note on the surgeon's desk. "Now you are a doctor. Don't let me have to make you a soldier again." This story, much like the ones we see in image_C5 E519.jpg, highlights why Patton remains a figure of intense fascination. He was a man who understood that in the chaos of war, bureaucracy is a luxury, and results are the only currency that matters. He didn't break the doctor because he enjoyed cruelty. He broke him because it was the only way to save his men. To Patton, a German baron or a Nazi doctor meant nothing if they stood in the way of an American GI's recovery. Was Patton a hero for this, or did he go too far? The history books are still debating it, but the men in that ward knew exactly where they stood. If you found this story powerful, make sure to check out our other videos on how Patton dealt with the SS and the German elite. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories of the greatest generation. Until next time.